Hey, what is going on YouTube? Aaron here. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. We are in the Petro, and in this video, we're going to be going over how to improve your cruiser play. The number one way to do that is to pay attention to your positioning. Now, there's a lot to do in this video, so make sure you guys pay attention. We haven't really touched the Petro or done a video on her since setting the XP record, which I think is still standing, so I do sort of know what I'm talking about. But here, we are on Haven, and unfortunately, the spawns on Haven, I wish they change. Meta and I have put in so much feedback, but regardless of that, we spawned sort of in the middle here. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold the side we spawn on. This rock on this side of Haven is actually one of the best island cover spots you can have in this position. Now, we are in a heavy radar cruiser, so our objective is to dish out as much damage as we can, especially to destroyers and especially to enemy cruisers. But the first thing that was spotted, thanks to our carrier or our destroyer, was that Bismarck, so we're going to go ahead and just shoot at him. You guys will notice I am in this patented defensive position. Now, most ships, will benefit from this, but it really depends on the type of ship you're in. Now, that being said, there are different play styles for different cruisers, and we will talk about that. I mentioned I have an Ibuki video coming up. Heavy cruisers with radars are really meant to be near islands around caps. They can open water, but there's also a class of cruisers such as the Ibuki and a few others that do a lot better in open water. Regardless of that, we are fulfilling one of our roles as a cruiser, which is DPM. These ships that are in front of us here are sailing broadside across, so of course we're going to have the AP from the Petro here and just smack them. On top of that, we have angled away, and we are also using overview camera to look at those targets slightly to the left on the screen here. With that shot, we just took 36,000 damage, and we've only been shot at 1 or 2 times and taken 0 damage for that. Next on the list of priorities, though, is supporting our fellow destroyers. Our Z-46 is doing the right thing. We can see that the cap is being taken, so we go ahead and pop the radar. We are within range. Make sure you're within range. The Petro has a little bit longer radar there, so just something to keep in mind. The Americans have a little bit shorter. So make sure you know your ranges, and you can just sometimes view, look at a spot on the map and kind of range it yourself. But we took one shot at the summoner there. We actually saw another shot from somebody else. We took one final shot. The HE probably would have been a touch better as we get a few bounces there. But any caliber less than 280 can actually get a full pen on a destroyer. So these medium to heavy cruisers do a fantastic job even with AP loaded. The Petro is definitely an AP monster, so sometimes switching is just not worth it, but usually HE does better in situations like that. Here we have the Kagero spotted, so of course we are going to take shots as they become available. And yes, we have only ticked 3,000 or 4,000 damage from this Kagero and the summoner, but that is approximately 25 to 50% of their health, and that is worth a lot more than, let's say, 5,000 to 10,000 damage from a cruiser or a battleship. And that is something that a lot of players don't understand. They think it's all about damage, and while yes, your responsibility in a cruiser is part of it is DPM, shooting at destroyers is got to be your number one priority. Cruisers are support ships, depending on the type, especially with radars. So if you're not shooting at destroyers, you are 1,000% not doing your job in a cruiser. Now, the game is still sort of in its adolescence here, 11 minutes on the clock, and that is when the first ship from either team goes down, that Bismarck, which, absolutely gives us an advantage. But that some people see that first ship go down and they're like, wow, we've won the game, and they just throw their ship away. I like to divide the games into thirds, right? The opening 5 minutes, the middle 5 minutes, and the last 5 minutes. A lot of games, more recently, are obviously won or lost in the first 5 minutes, but a lot of people are decent players, but sometimes they tend to lose the game in the middle or late 5 minutes, right? And this game is a decent example of that. Like I said, we just got a kill. Our team is actually ticking both caps, and they are in a very advanced forward position. But I have seen it numerous times where this position, some people just get a little bit aggressive. For example, that main there, and they just tend to what I call throw their ship away, right? They rush into a crossfire. They don't really think about their positioning. And unfortunately, there's not much you can do as a cruiser if you don't have that massive alpha strike or you don't have spotting from your destroyer. So just take a moment, just like I said, divide the game into thirds. Your first 5 minutes is your opening initial positioning. The next 5 minutes, you might need to move, and that is what we're doing here. We're seeing what the team needs, and the last 5 minutes, you just kind of have to do whatever your team needs, right? And again, sometimes games are won or lost in the opening 5 minutes, and those are very frustrating. We had a few on stream the other night. It's just they're over. There's nothing you can do. That's the player base. You could literally slap them in the face and say, "Hey, go straight," and they'd still miss it. Here, though, we have a destroyer spotted at 15 kilometers, and honestly, that's a very difficult shot, but with the high-velocity guns of the Petro, just throw that shot out there anyway. And the reason that is because you saw we got one, I believe it was one overpen for 800 or 700 damage or something. But thinking about the team aspect of the game, that is 700 or so less health that our destroyers or another ship has to deal with on that destroyer. If half of your team or all of your team takes one shot at a destroyer and grabs a few overpens here or there, you guys have seen it multiple times when we do count-in games or whatever. If a team focus fires a destroyer, that's lights out. Here, though, is the second portion of the game. We've reached that middle 5 minutes. And another tip to think about is to put yourself and your ship, for the most part, and again, each circumstance is going to be different, but put your ship where your team is not. Most of our team is focused on the right there. Now, we do have this Ruprecht who has donated most of his health and then decided to ram us. Well, I guess we really technically rammed him, but I'm the one with the YouTube channel, so he rammed us. No, I'm just kidding. But a lot of people, a lot of teams, for whatever reason, think that safety comes in numbers. And sometimes it does, but when you do that, you basically eliminate all crossfires. Have you guys ever been in a bow tanking fest against ships you cannot overmatch? It's very frustrating, very boring, and usually determined by which other team has the smarter destroyer player. So I don't like to leave it up to chance. I like to create my own luck, and by doing so, I try to create my own crossfires. You will notice that a majority of our team is kind of focused on the right here, so what we're going to do is push up the middle. Our team has done a fantastic job, including our carrier. He was spotting the destroyer, which is 1,010% your job in a carrier. If you do not spot destroyers in a carrier, you are playing that class wrong. Now, it's a free-to-play game, but you're going to notice a lot more wins if you go out and spot destroyers. And here's a great example of what I was talking about earlier. We get this Kagero here. We actually clip one shell on the island. I should have waited just a moment. We radared potentially a touch early, but you actually saw there's another shot from our team doing a good job. And here, we get absolutely trolled. Now, we got trolled on RNG earlier, and we get trolled with RNG again. So that is why it is so important. If we would have gotten one more overpen, or anyone on our team would have gotten one more pen or overpen on that destroyer, he would be dead. And you guys know, or you should know, that the longer a destroyer is alive, the more dangerous they become. Now, our carrier has done a fantastic job of spotting destroyers and going after appropriate targets, so I'm not overly worried, but the less ships available to spot a destroyer, the more dangerous that destroyer becomes. Here, though, we're in a little bit of a tricky situation. This John Bart is rounding the corner. We do have this Kagero potentially to our left, and we have a Zeton out there. So we're going to try and go ahead and, eliminate that Zeton, trying to keep all turrets on target. The Petro does have pretty good firing angles both forward and rear, but if you can get that rear turret on target, a battleship that you're shooting at it with can potentially penetrate or even citadel you. So just something to keep in mind. But because of our position and our team's position, this John Bart has a difficult decision to make. Now, there is a destroyer right in front of him, but if he were to angle to us, then he would be giving broadside to those ships in front of him. In the meantime, we actually popped the Hydro because the Kagero was out to our left. Again, relying on situational awareness. We took the shot on the bow on the John Bart, and we potentially gave up a little bit of angle here, but we knew that he was dying or, close to dying. And because we've managed our hit points so well, we could have taken potentially one, slightly dangerous salvo. But we just got our first kill and ticked our Confederate Medal. So we have been I think the Confederate Medal is a true test of a cruiser's talent and skill potentially, because the Confederate Medal means you have done 20% to 6 or more targets, which basically means you've been doing your job, one of your roles as a cruiser, which is DPMing. And most of the time, the only way to get Confederates is to shoot at destroyers, right? Because if a destroyer dies, you miss out on the opportunity of it hitting at least 6 of those ships. And part of the reason, a lot of, getting these medals and this damage and stuff is putting yourself in the right position. Here, though, we are nearing the last 5 minutes of the game, so our team basically just needs us to live at this point. So, rushing out here and giving broadside to a Minnesota, while it would net us more damage, is definitely not the play. This Kagero pops up, though, and we get that final last penetration or overpen. Any touch of his ship with our shells would have killed him besides a bounce there. So we get the kill, and we actually net our second legendary module. So these legendary modules are certainly fun. The longer the game goes on, the better you are as a player. The more, the better your positioning, the more you're DPMing, the better you can do at the end game. We actually have a pretty cracked Buffalo game with these mods, and I'm pretty sure the mods essentially saved us. So, just keep that in mind. Here we have entered the last 5 minutes of the game. So what my team needs at this point, like we talked about in the beginning, is for me to live, right? For me to live, kill either one or two of these ships, and just get out of here. Now, another winning play I could have made was to go into the decap. But because I took this Confederate medal, I know I'm fairly close to a high caliber medal. It doesn't always work out that way, but I'm being greedy here, if I'm being honest. Now, our team is... They have this game well in hand, but you will see shortly that it gets a little bit closer than it needed to be. So just something to keep in mind. The capture points are very important. But if you guys will take a look at our health bar here. Now, granted, I was not shot at that much, but part of that reason was because of our position, right, behind that island, protected from certain other ships, and because of our angling, right? Sometimes when you take that defensive angle or you angle, a lot of ships, they try to shoot something else, right? They see a big juicy battleship or some other target that they want to shoot at. So, but because of this, right, we have managed our health. We still have our 2 heals, and we're in no danger of, unless we get dev struck by torpedoes, of dying. So a lot of people think that YOLOing into the cap early on and attracting damage is your job in a cruiser. And I will say that, attracting damage is a certain responsibility in a cruiser. We have nearly a million attracted damage, which is battleship type levels in this very ship. So some people are like, oh, you hide. Well, I still get 1 million attracted damage per game, close to, in this ship. But that being said, it is not your... it's more of the battleship's responsibility to attract damage. So something to keep in mind for my battleship mains or my battleship players, if it's halfway through the game and your team is not massively winning and you still have all of your health, you have not really positioned well, and you have probably let your team down in some regard. Here, though, we have one of my favorite shots in the game, a broadside carrier with one of the best cruisers at tier 8. And we get absolutely trolled once again. So only 2 citadels, or 1 citadel from that shot, and 2 citadels overall. But because we have kept our guns cycling, we've positioned well, we've shot multiple different targets, we actually tick the high caliber there. So we've absolutely done our job. This is, it's not like the, it's not the Petro XP record, which you guys can find on my channel. But we have done our job, and we have done it well, right? We've DPM'd, we've protected caps, we've supported other surface ships, and that's the the name of the game here. As we tried to get a double strike, but again, we just get trolled by RNG. Something to note, RNG doesn't change; it's based per turret. So some people say you have to full salvo. None of that is true. So as soon as the turrets are loaded here, I'm going to go ahead and release them. We actually do get the 4th kill. We miss out on the Kraken. We had a few kills actually yoinked from us, which would have given us the Kraken, but Krakens are not the important medal. The most important thing is the win, and beyond that, the XP score, which we score first with 2746. So like I was saying, not an overly Kraken and super impressive game, but a game where we did our job, supported our team, and got the win, right? So that's all you can ask for sometimes. But basically, kind of reviewing the video here, make sure you position well in a cruiser. Don't look down the binoculars at all times. Use overview camera. See what your team needs. Split the game up into thirds. Okay, first 5 minutes is my initial positioning. Second 5 minutes, we're going to advance or see what how the game develops. The third 5 minutes is basically anything I can do to win this game for my team, which in most cases is not die. So there's some tips on how to be a better cruiser player. Most of it boils down to positioning, reading game flow, and just not sailing broadside to the enemy with, eyes down the binoculars at all times. So hope you guys enjoyed that video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Love you guys. Have a great day. AA Run out. Peace.